All right, Mr. Barker, Mr. Olmstead,
Here.
Mr. McMahon,
Here.
Ms. Cole-Hansen. Here. Mr. Gibbs,
Here.
Mr. Raybould,
Here.
Mr. Van Stone,
Here.
and Chairman Stevenson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get started. Who do we got present?
Matt Anders.
Okay, Matt, if you want to get us started.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Matt Anders. I'm gonna talk to you today about the new proposed recharge projects that we've developed. I have Cooper Fritz on the line. He's gonna also present a couple of them. Our goal today is to identify projects that you want to recommend to the board meeting or to the full board in tomorrow's meeting. So this is a summary of the 4 projects that we're going to talk about today. Cooper is going to present the first 2, and then I'll present the final 2. I do want to point out, slightly embarrassing, but in the board materials that we sent out to you, the columns of this table are a little bit wonky. And you can tell because the estimated cost per acre foot recharge is moved 1 to the left, so that would be $3 million per acre foot. So it's pretty obvious that we've shifted them to the left. But I fixed it in this one, and in the presentation tomorrow. So with that, let's get right into the projects. Cooper, please start with the Bingham Groundwater District project.
Great, thanks, Matt, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. So, yeah, this is a project proposed by Bingham Groundwater District, and it's off of the Dubois and Augustine lateral, and the Augustine comes off of the Riverside Canal Company. So, the Dubois and Riverside site. It's kind of tucked back in Bingham County. What it proposes to do is purchase a 64-acre parcel of land. Plus an additional 2.5 acres to connect that parcel of land to the county road, because otherwise it would be landlocked. And so that 2 acres would just be a road easement into the site. So it's a 64-acre parcel that has 1.8 feet of overburden or topsoil, according to a test pit that we did back in December. So the proposal then is to remove the top 2 feet of material, and that will create a 6-foot tall berm that's 100 foot wide, except for around the southern and the southeastern portions of the property where there are domestic dwellings. This exceeds, just so you know, the Bonneville County ordinance is, I think, 10 feet wide, or the proposed ordinance is 10 feet wide. Maximum of 10 feet tall minimum of 10 feet wide, maximum of 10 feet tall, except for around domestic wells. And then it's 25 feet wide, maximum of 10 feet tall. So again, we're looking 100 foot wide berm, 6 foot tall, 45 acre basin. So the remaining 19 acres will be berm. We think we can do it in 150,000 cubic yards. But we do have a sort of contingency in there with 200,000 cubic yards, just in case the topsoil is deeper across different portions of the field than our test pit was dug in. So the cost is $3.1 million. We think it'll do 55 CFS. That's according to a stage infiltration rate test that we did in similar alluvium. But the delivery capacity could be the issue here, particularly during the irrigation season. So we don't think that there will be a problem delivering 55 CFS during the non-irrigation. But once we get into the irrigation season, it's going to take some work to clean those laterals to get the 30 CFS there. So we think we can get 20 CFS that would be dedicated to the recharge site by cleaning the Dubois lateral, and an additional 10 CFS by cleaning the Augustine lateral. So ownership is the topic here. The Bingham Groundwater District has the staff to own it. They want to make sure that it's free of noxious weeds, that The crested wheatgrass that's required to be planted on the berm stays irrigated and, basically being a good neighbor. So I think the next step would be to, and this is in progress or in process, is to get delivery agreements and wheeling agreements worked out between the Peoples Canal Company and the DuBois Lateral Association and the Riverside Canal Company and the Augustine Lateral Association. And all indications are that the parties are at the table and the paperwork is being worked on. Again, the Bingham Groundwater District is proposing to own it just simply because they have the staff to maintain it. 100% of the water through this site would go to the Water Resource Board's recharge program when our natural flow priority when our natural flow right is in priority. And then just a little hydrologic overview. After 5 years, 83% of the water recharge through this site has returned to various reaches of the river. 30%, well, I guess I should, 50% returns between 12 and 16 months after recharge. And then, the reaches impacted by this recharge site over the course of the model run, which is, I think, 150 years, are Shelley to near Blackfoot at 30% and near Blackfoot to Neely at 61%. And I must say that we used the estimated capacity of 30 CFS as a conservative capacity because we think the site will take more prior to the irrigation season. But we use that in estimating our cost with a 50-year first right of refusal, and as well as just as we move forward in planning our portfolio, that 30 CFS. So just a conservative estimate there. Yeah, are there any questions?
I have one piece of input as well. One thing
Yeah.
that we did see on these, it's in your board materials. What we're seeing here is about 40 feet of sand and gravel, and then there's clay layers in some of the well logs. That gave us a little bit of concern that it wasn't going to take water, but we don't see any perched water there. We do see some logs without the clay layer. So our best recommendation is it will take water, even though there is clay in some of these areas. And with that, questions before we move on? Mr. Chair.
So I see we have some folks from Bingham Groundwater District here. Do they want to make any comments about this project at this time?
Well, it might be beneficial, just real quick. My name is Dylan Anderson. I represent the Bingham Groundwater District. Maybe give you some insight on our motivations here. The two aspects of the mitigation plan that was approved that people know about and focus on are, the reduction in pumping and the delivery of wet water. The third prong that I think kind of goes unnoticed is the requirement to keep the reach gains from falling below those 2023 lows. And that's really important to us. We have a invested interest in keeping that going. So we want to support recharge, even if it's not our recharge. The first site we did in this area, we had a reason to be involved in part of that capacity. Going forward, you guys have all the capacity. Whatever we can do to be a helpful partner in this, we want to do. And so that's our motivation here in owning this and making sure that it's keeping operated, because keeping those reach gains above that 2023 low is crucial to maintaining that mitigation plan. If we fall below that, it triggers a lot of really onerous things and could potentially make the plan fall apart. So that's really our motivation. We have a great relationship with the canals in that area. We've talked with them. They do not have a lot of interest in owning that property, running it. They don't have the staff, the ability to do that. We're certainly happy to do it. We don't necessarily have the potential for high income or property taxes like they would if we're a government entity in that sense. So if you have any questions about that, we just wanted to make sure that we were being as helpful as we could, because we really want those recharge sites, as many as you can get us. So,
Any questions from committee members?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I can't remember your name. Sorry. Dylan, okay. So we want, I like the site. I like the modeling where it's coming out and reach gain. We want the sites to look nice. We've had, will it take sprinkling on the wide berms to get the crested weed established, or is that part of the plan, or?
Well, if, maybe that's a good question for Tony, but if it needs to be done, I mean, we're committed to doing what we need to do. Like I said, it seemed, I don't want people to be wary of what is Bingham getting out of this? We're getting the recharge and staying in the mitigation plan. That's our main focus. So if that needs to be done, certainly we'll put in programs to make sure that happens.
So the assessment or the shares associated with the property actually are going to remain on the property, and we plan on using those shares to water the property. We had met with the Riverside Canal and the People's Canal for a site visit, and they requested that we planted a canary grass because it's sprout resilient and it also can take a beating when it's flood irrigated.
In the basin was going to be the canary grass.
Yes, and I believe we're gonna be doing the same to the sides. And so and to give you a little backstory on why Bingham's, I guess, making such a ruckus about the ownership of the property. So you have the two canal companies that deliver the water to the Augustine and to the DuBois. The DuBois and the Augustine are actually privately owned ditches. The Riverside has one employee and Peoples has one employee. So they see this as being burdensome if they were to take on this property, because then that extends their service area and their maintenance.
Any other questions?
So, Mr. Chairman, most of the other, if not all of the other arrangements we have for off-canal recharge basins, those arrangements are with the canal company. And as I understand it, you want to be the owner of this site. What agreements do you have in place with the Riverside Canal Company and the lateral ditch associations to make sure that water can be diverted and delivered to the basin?
So we are in the process of drafting those agreements. We have met with them and they're open to those agreements. I did send an email to Brian, and I talked to him this week about getting some drafts that that are familiar with the board and that you like to see. And when we get those, and we'll just draft it and get those signed. I understand the worry of putting in the infrastructure and paying for a recharge site and then not having an ability of getting the water there. And so we certainly don't want to do that. I don't think that in our area we're going to have that issue, but we will get those in place to make sure that there is no issue with delivering that water. We have verbal agreements. We just have to get it reduced to writing, and we wanted to do it in writing that was familiar and comfortable for the board.
So I have one question when it comes to that. So now refresh me again, what are the two canals or the two lateral or ditches that you get them through, the DuBois and
And the Augustine.
the Augustine? So where do they get their water? They get it from,
The Peoples and the Riverside Canal.
okay, they get it from and the Riverside has a diversion, its own diversion?
Yes, sir.
So there's not somebody upstream that has to, so do we have, are these agreements also gonna go upstream all the way to the diversion?
It'll be the Riverside, the Augustine, which are,
And Peoples?
yeah, and people,
Okay.
and a lot of these are the same people.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, I just didn't want to make sure that we make, we've got agreements with part of them, but the guy who owns the diversion works say, I'm not putting water in the winter.
no.
So, but
I think, Mr. Chairman, we just make the disbursement of the funds contingent on all wheeling agreements being in place and maybe a management plan from Bingham in
Okay.
place so that we know how it's all gonna work.
okay,
And absolutely, that shouldn't be a problem. And normally we'd probably be indifferent to the ownership, but as we've got into it and thought about it, we want to make sure that we want to put more of these. And so we want to make sure that they are well maintained and taken care of and not a sore spot for the community. We have a really good relationship with our community right now with our commissioners. We want to keep that, and we want the recharge sites to be up to that standard. So that's really our true motivations. Long term, there may not be I think it's just, gonna promote more, development of recharge in the future in that area if we could continue to keep them at that standard.
We actually have a quarterly meeting with our commissioners and planning and zoning in our area. And they were actually in support of this style of recharge site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from committee or board members?
One quick one. How deep is the aquifer under the site, man?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Olmstead, about 125 feet.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we recommend funding the $3.1 million for this recharge basin to the full board for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, our next one is Butte Market Lake Canal improvements.
Also, Cooper, please introduce this project.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. So what this is this is a series of canal improvements to some recharge wells that are at the end of a lateral ditch. And, you know, these wells, there are 3 wells. And so one well is 18 inches and it does 12 to 15 CFS. And there are 2 additional 20-inch wells that do 25 to 30 CFS. So they can average around 65 CFS. The issue is that at the end of the canal, detritus kind of backs up as the rotating screen blocks the, fallen vegetation from entering the well. And so a canal company employee has to go out there 3 or 4 times a day to clear out the vegetation, and they don't feel like that's sustainable. And so, I break this $1.6 million up into kind of 3 categories, if you will. The first category is what's called a traveling screen that they want to put in. So what that is a screen that sticks down about 4 feet in the water and then comes out at, I think, a 23-degree angle and delivers that detritus to a concrete pad, just moves it out of the water and onto a concrete pad that can then be cleaned by machinery whenever the canal company sees fit. So that's kind of, number one. Number 2, kind of category number 2 is the implementation of some canal cleaning and bank stabilization that were recommended by an engineering report that we funded to see, what it would take to get an additional 100 CFS down each of 2 laterals, including this one here. And so as part of that, they would do actually a culvert replacement on the main canal just below this lateral. Right now, that culvert is at capacity during irrigation. So even when they turn off that, 12 CFS well, they feel that could overtop, that 12 CFS additional in the canal could overtop the culvert, not to mention 65 CFS would really have some flooding issues there. And then just some bank stabilization, channel raising, and channel clearing per the engineering report. And the third category is 2 additional monitoring wells. So right now we have 1 monitoring well, about an average of 300 feet down gradient from these wells that can do, high volumes of water. We want 2 more monitoring wells, one an additional 1/10 of a mile down gradient from the current monitoring well, and then one about a mile down gradient between these recharge wells and a domestic well there. We've spent so far on this project $660,000 to get the 3 wells and the engineering report done. So that brings us to, with this proposal, a total of $2.26 million, and that is $14 per acre foot. A good recharge up here, 5-year retention of 30%, so 70% returns within 5 years. with 50% returning in 9 or 10 months, and the reaches impacted here are displayed. But you can see about, getting close to 50% near Blackfoot to Neely at 45%. So additional questions?
Any questions for Cooper?
Mr. Chairman,
Brad.
Cooper, we toured this site on our tour this summer, right?
Yeah, likely. Yep. Yep.
And it sure looked good to me. I mean, I think these are very reasonable needs for it to keep it working.
Yeah.
Is there anybody from Butte Market Lake online or?
Mr. Chairman, while Jackson's coming up, Cooper, do they currently have the capacity in that branch of the canal that delivers the water to those 3 wells to feed the 65 CFS? If you run all 3 wells at once over a period of time, is that 65 CFS able to maintain, or does it tail off?
It is able to maintain. They've expressed some, these improvements will allow it to maintain. The issue in the canal is actually sinkholes that develop with this much additional water in it, in the lateral itself. So we'll have to kind of watch that over time. That's something that they've noticed as they've put this additional water down the lateral.
So the water's sinking before it can get to where we want to sink it.
Well, yeah, I mean, just the additional pressure is just opening up existing fissures in the canal, essentially. And
Yeah, Madam Chair and committee, the sinkholes in this develop kind of on the higher end of the banks, and when they fill that baby up, it starts leaking. And they've had one blowout. They were able to repair it during the season, so it wasn't a big deal. And then we've never run all 3 wells at one time because it starts kind of drying up that ditch. So the big goal here is to take all the stuff that the engineers, you all funded that report from Franson Engineering, and they recommended bank stabilization on a large part of it. And there's a few spots where they said we might end up having a few, in order to keep that bank stable, they may have like 100-foot sections of liners. We don't know if we'll have to do that yet, but it would all be bank stabilization, not obviously to stop infiltration. But we haven't been able to run the full capacity of all those wells at the same time just because we don't have it for various reasons. The screen will help and the bank stabilization will help.
the goal of the engineering report was to get 100 CFS down there. So
I believe they said the engineer said with the easy maintenance things, that those small bank stabilization things, we should be able to get on paper 70 CFS down the ditch. So.
Okay, any other questions for either Jackson or Cooper, committee members or board members?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we recommend this to the full board for approval for the 1.6 million.
Is that a motion? Your second?
Second.
Okay, we had a motion, a second. Having no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So next one is Fremont Madison, the Wilford Canal Land App. I guess Cooper,
Nope, I got this one.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just so you're keeping track, we're half done. So, this Wilford Canal pilot project is a new type of recharge, we're getting applications for. So this is taking an agricultural field and just flood irrigating it during the, spring when the board's water rate is on. You notice here, the cost, for the capital cost, only $42,000. This is just for measuring devices in the Wilford Canal, so that we can tell how much water is going into the basin or into the field. But the general idea is, it could do, we think 45, 47 CFS. We'd only try a 5-year pilot project so that we could kind of see if it's gonna work. See if it works for the farmer, see if it works for us. Our cost per acre foot is relatively low on this, because of the payment structure. So 2 of the things, we pay $750 per acre foot in conveyance fees to the canal, and $10 an acre foot for the amount recharged on the field to the landowner. We like this structure because it's performance-based. If there's no recharge, then we don't owe any money to the landowner. The 5-year retention is 20%, 50% response is in 24 months. This is relatively high in the eastern Snake Plain, so we're not getting a lot in the near Blackfoot to Neely Reach, but it is getting a little bit there. So I think the upside of this project, like I said, is it's new. We're trying to figure out how it's gonna work. Relatively low cost to get involved and give it a try. So with that, if there's any questions on what we're thinking or anything about this project.
Any questions from committee members? I have one. So what basis did we have for estimating the capacity?
Mr. Chairman, this is based on other fields that we've tried. I think it was
Okay.
based on the Harrison. We had
Okay.
an application there as well. They did a test on that one.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we've been looking for a place to try this for at least a couple of years now, and I don't know if this is a perfect site for permanent, but I think it's a perfect site for this test. Price is right, and it'll show us what we need to know.
Well, and I agree with you. I like the idea that it's all performance based. That we're not spending money without knowing what we're getting at the end. So, all right. Any other questions? Okay.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to do with this, but it is a Fremont Madison application, and I'm chairman of that board, so I'm gonna abstain from action on this particular item.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this, or recommend to the full board for approval this project,
Okay.
$42,000.
I guess I'll second it. I think we.
For the purposes of allowing the committee to take action, I will second the motion. I just want everybody to be clear where I was at.
I was sitting around looking like, Hal's not here. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, the next one is the Thurl well. I think you'll be handling that.
Yep, I'll be handling that, Mr. Chairman. So this is a well in Southwest, or 2 wells in Southwest Irrigation District. These wells have been permitted by the UIC program here at the department already. We know that they work. They take about 10 CFS each, if we could get that much water to them. This project is designed to put in new pumps and pipe from BID's canal over to the injection wells. And right now they can only get about 6 CFS there. So this would increase about 16 CFS of capacity by giving them their own dedicated pipes and pumps. We've estimated the 20-year cost at $18 an acre foot. The retention is relatively high, and the return to the Snake River is also quite high in the near Blackfoot to Neely Reach. Other than that, Jackson Higgs is here if you have questions, or would you like to say anything, Mr. Higgs?
Don't need to, but I can.
Okay, if you got any hard questions, there he is. But other than that, we'll stand for questions on this project.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Brian?
I'll comment for Dean and I both. That was the coldest tour I think I've ever been on. The wind was blowing 50 miles an hour, and that was back when there was snow on the ground, so. But I do think it's really a good project. They need it badly. Aquifers depleted a lot in that area, and
So I have one question. And maybe this is for Jackson. How long have those wells been used, Jackson?
Let's see, probably can't give you an exact year. The one well is tied to a creek up there, Land Creek, that the Searles own, and there is a recharge. The permit includes water from Land Creek, so there's always been a little bit of water going there. The other one I think we've used for probably at least 5 years. I think it's through its second round of UIC permitting, which are temporary permits. And so we've been using it for quite a while. We just can't get much water to them. So
What's the depth of water there?
300 feet. Yeah, so that's down there ways.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other question from committee members? Or board members? 5 o'clock is getting close. So.
Mr. Chairman, I move we recommend the full board for their consideration, this recharge project, in the amount of $763,000 and change.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I didn't see anybody that can vote would be opposed, so.
We can't vote twice.
Yeah.
You need a proxy vote.
All right, motion passes, so, do we have any other non-action items?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, from Mr. Chairman, from staff, we have Steve's video.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Steve, I forgot about that. I think Brian turns into a pumpkin at 5 o'clock, so we gotta.
I'm here as long as you need me.
I have to roll him down the hall,
I'm never really off the clock in this job.
especially if Becky has your phone number.
Oh, gosh.
Brian answers on Sundays and Saturdays.
Yes, he does.
So, Mr. Chair, a little quick background, wanted to thank Tony Dixie with Bingham Groundwater District to line me up with several landowners up there. We're featuring 3 of the landowners that worked on groundwater surface water conversion projects. So we're always looking to tell our story and publicize our projects. But I think the groundwater to surface water conversion thing, it might be a little bit hard for some people to understand. And so I think this is a good piece to help educate folks about how it works. So close. Okay.
Need bad internet in here or something.
Okay, so maybe a little bit, longer. Sorry about that.
You have a wireless that comes from 8 miles away. I get that. Where it comes from. This big storm. One things are terrible. Climbing up on this icy road. You guys are in dial up. It's true.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
We just need sound.
You can sing or whistle, Steve.
From the Idaho
That's the one thing I did not check.
Yeah. it's gonna echo. Just,
Yeah, Ryan, brother or dad?
I don't know how they're related.
Same county though.
Cousin,
Cousin?
related to Brian?
Yeah,
Murdoch?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole clan of Murdochs over there, so. Most of these rural communities are that way. See if I can do it. Do we want to, try? Here we go.
We're done. Anything else? Do we have any other? Any other non-action items for discussion?
Not for me.
Being none,
Move to adjourn.
second, we're adjourned.